Today, our division at Nevis launched a new app. It's called Nevis Atlas, and we had the training this morning, and we're wondering, how can it really help us as agents, right? So there's apparently lots of stuff in it, but one key thing that I actually found very interesting, and I wanted to share this, is they actually have a Primekey analysis. So what is Primekey analysis? Okay, so it basically helps you pick what is the best property, the highest potential for growth and stuff like that, the most attractive development, it includes new launches, it includes resale, and it includes upcoming condominiums as well. So as you can see here, there is a score and a kind of a map, that kind of shows you the strengths. So it's a score upon 5. So 5-star being the perfect project, right? But I don't think there's a 5-star. But 1 and 2 stars, 3 stars generally we'll try to avoid. So there are lots and lots of projects, some good, some bad, according to this analysis. So I was just curious, okay, there are I think 3,291 projects. There you go. So let's see. Okay, let's play around with it. Okay, what is the best project? Okay, let's not filter anything. Let's just sort them according to the top rated. Wow. Lakeside Drive. Oops. Novo Place, Lake Grande, Otto Place, Park Infinia, Orel of Tampines. Interesting. So as expected, we see a lot of ECs here. Novo Place, Orel, Otto, not surprising. ECs are highly sought after. Greatly oversubscribed. So generally, I think they make very good growth potential. But as I was scrolling, I saw Pinery Residence. So that's an upcoming project. It's gonna launch this month, and let's take a look using Pinery as an example of what this app can do. So over here it has this radar map, okay, that shows that it's top in terms of MRT connectivity, growth hotspot, remaining tenure, and all that. Yeah. So it's a little bit small here, so I'll just pull up the PDF. Maybe it's easier for us to see here, right? Okay, so here it is. So the app can actually generate a report. So if you have, you're staying in a condo, or you're looking at a condo and you want to know how does it fare, is it a good project to hold on to or buy, this is something that you can look for me to give you this Primekey analysis report. Okay, so let's look at Pinery. Okay, so going into it, this Primekey analysis, what does it do? Okay, so there is a framework. So basically we are setting the benchmark to say that what makes a good project, and this comes from the decade-long experience of our leaders, telling us, sharing with us what are the key ingredients in choosing a property, in choosing a good property, for growth and all that. So that's how this framework came about. Okay, and in this framework, some of it, I think most of it, everybody will actually agree to. Okay, so let's look at it. Number 1, distance to MRT. Yeah, with COE prices today, I think that distance to the MRT is going to play a very important role in people's buying decisions. They rather put the money into a asset that will appreciate or at least hold its value as compared to paying 100, 200,000 for a car that depreciates over the years. There's only a 10-year COE, right? So yes, so distance to MRT is something that it's very important. So it's number 1. Number 2 is growth hotspot. So what this talks about is really talking about certain areas that URA has highlighted to be a growing township. For example, Punggol was barren place, and it was listed out in a master plan that they're going to grow that place into a digital business district, as well as a lot of HDB is going to go over there. So that has developed, it's a popular place that a lot of people live in and continue to like to live there. And the next place, is like Tengah and so on and so forth. So there are these bigger hotspots, bigger areas of growth, and there are also smaller nodes, and these would be what determined as growth hotspots. Now, third will be government land sales. So this is talking about government selling lands to the developers. So primarily, private developers obtain land from government land sales. So they'll bid for them with buying it from the government all 99 years for residential, or they would actually try to purchase private property through the en bloc process. Yeah, so these are two of the main ways that developers actually get land. And so having a government land sale near the condo that we are looking at would mean that it is likely that there would be a lot of developers who would be interested to get more land into their land bank and would bid heavily for the land, and it will actually fuel the growth of the property prices in the area. Of course, there are government land sales where we receive no bids. Okay, then that would not be good for the property prices in the area, because it shows that there's no demand. So the next one is project size, number of units. So generally we try to look at developments that have a good number of units. So what do you mean by good number of units? We are looking at maybe 200 and above. Yeah, anything less than that might have an issue of it being a very small development with very few facilities, higher maintenance costs, fewer transactions that would actually support valuation. So that would actually affect prices, because that would mean that there's very little demand, and there's very little reference from in a particular project. Now, usually when there's a lot of transactions, prices would be supported for valuation, and prices would generally tend to move up if it is a sought after project. Remaining tenure, this is talking about how old is the development basically. Okay, the newer the better. Oops. Okay, and for rental yield, so for resale units, higher rental yield, okay, you may be living there and you're thinking, how does yield affect me, right? So rental yield, we are talking about demand basically. So if a place has very good rental yield, it means that a lot of people want to rent a unit in this condominium, which means that it's sought after. Okay, so that will actually give a telltale sign for purchasers. If you are a resale, if you are owner, tells you that your condo is very sought after. And for number 7, that would be having a school nearby. So school is something that I have always seen to be something very, very important, and it actually is so important that even for certain older projects that are 99 years, they may have just 70 years, 60 years left, but because there is no other supply near a very good school, and school is very important to a lot of people in terms of logistically being closer, and putting your children in a good school, having him pave a way forward early on in his days. So these are some criteria that would actually support property prices. Usually people who would live near these good schools, they would live there for a good 6 to 10 years until they complete their whole primary and secondary education. So usually not many people would be selling in a short span of time, which makes supply limited, and parents who have children that are coming of age to enter primary school will always be looking at homes near schools. Okay, so number 8, HDB clusters. So usually the very typical Singaporean process would be to get a HDB as a first home, and after 5 years, you've completed your MOP, you've made a rather good profit, you actually look into buying a condo. And because you have lived there for so long, or you may have children or parents in the area, you might look only in that area. And so having MOP clusters are basically your future buyers. They have made money from the HDB that they got, and they are comfortable living there, and they are looking to upgrade into a condo, and this is where your supply of buyers are going to come from. Okay, so these are the framework. Okay, and using this framework as a set rules, we evaluate all these different condos. So we feel that this is a more fair way. I think this is a very fair way, because very often when I'm selling you, I mean, you know, most agents, you would think that, you know, they're trying to sell you a condo, and that condo, you know, you will definitely just share the strong points, right? But very often you will really need to compare in the area, which condo is better, which one is more sought after, you know, which one has better potential for growth. So very often I meet a lot of clients. Okay, this is my experience coming in here. They go on Property Guru and they look at all these condos with very nice pictures, very nice videos, and you know, they get attracted by them. They go and view them, and the more they see, sometimes the more lost they get. Okay, they do see certain things that they like, and you know, they see a lot that they don't like, which perhaps using this framework they shouldn't even have gone to view that condo. Yeah, so this takes a lot of time off a buying process. Okay, you would at least have a foundational framework where you would know which developments are worth even to look at. So how so this is a scorecard basically. Okay, MRT, if it's within 5 minutes, we give it 5-star. You know, growth hotspot, you know, what are the standards, the criteria to give it the number of stars and all that. Yeah, rental demand, you know, rental yield, the amount of MOP clusters in the area, and all this. So generally, using all this, you would come up to a color grading of green, yellow, orange, and red. So yellow and green are pass. You know, they're like, oh, green of course is the best. Yellow is like, you know, it's okay. You know, maybe there are some downsides, but orange and red generally are scored quite low. So maybe I think we might want to be wary of those. Okay, or maybe even skip those. So yellow and green, fine. Okay. So let's look at Pinery Residence. Wow, 4.9. Overall score 39 upon 40. That is like nearly a full score, right? This is crazy. So when I saw this, I was like, whoa, this is really, really high. Okay, this is really high. So let's take a look. Okay, Pinery Residence. Pinery Residence is located just outside the MRT exit of Tampines West. Okay, if you don't know where Tampines West is, it is at Temasek Poly. Okay, it's just around the area. So in Tampines, there is actually very few condos. Actually, it's a very big estate. It's one of the biggest estates in Singapore, but there are actually very, very few condos. The last one in the area, and one of the biggest in Singapore you might heard of, is Treasure at Tampines. But thereafter, you know, there really isn't much launches. There was Parktown right up in the northern side of Tampines, and now we have Pinery Residence, a little bit more southern. You know, they're gonna catch a little bit more Bedok Residence as well, and Simei. So this is Pinery Residence, and you can see that there are 588 units, so a very good size. You know, not 1,000 or 2,000, but you know, very good number. There are 9,107 MOP cluster units nearby, which means there are gonna be like 9,000 units that are gonna MOP in the future, and they could be your potential buyers. Of course, some of them might not want to upgrade, they just stay put, but you know, this is a very healthy amount of future buyers for you. Remaining tenure, of course, is a new project, so it's basically nearly full. There's a few government, there are 4 government land GLS nearby, and there are 5 nearby schools. Yes. So MRT is a huge thing that people look for, and the second one would be school. So within 1 kilometer of Pinery, you actually have now within 1 kilometer of Pinery residence, you actually have St. Hilda's. Okay, this is a very, very popular school. It is one of the 9 designated GEP schools in Singapore, but of course GEP program has been discontinued and restructured, so but it still means that this is a very, very good school. And you can look at the balloting results for the past few years. It's always been oversubscribed for St. Hilda's. There's also Junyuan and possibly St. Anthony Canossian Primary. That one is a bit borderline, that's to be confirmed on one map later on. And this framework is good, to give you an overview, but I want to talk a little bit more about Pinery, because what is not stated in this framework is that Pinery actually has a mall. Yeah, this mall is about 11,000 square meters of commercial space, 60 plus shops. You're gonna have NTUC, Kopitiam, you're gonna have your learning center there, Mulberry Learning. There's gonna be a community plaza inside. So it's pretty much like it's pretty much an integrated project, right? Okay, which is what people really go crazy for. You have malls and shops downstairs, you have an MRT, you have a good school within 1 kilometer. This is really like the top 3 things that people actually look out for, because convenience, Singapore is a very small city, it's very convenient, but people want the ultimate convenience, and this is where Pinery residents come in. So on the next page, you can see here the number of MOP clusters. You can see that there's 15 clusters, and Pinery is actually surrounded by a lot of new MOP, new BTOs. Okay, a lot of them some of them have completed, some of them are still under construction. So this is a new area that is growing as well. So there is quite a few more pages to this report. I don't want to go through them line by line, but I just want to share with you this Atlas program that we have in our agency, and it really helps us cut down a lot of time to really skip some of these projects that are not going to be looking good in terms of growth going forward. Having more growth will actually mean more options for the future. So if this is something that you like, if Pinery residence is something that you're interested in, come PM me and contact me. I'll send you analysis for this full report, or you can send me whatever condo you want, and we could talk about analyzing how does your condo look like going forward.